Hello, Toronto fans, and welcome back to another video. Ethan and Brandon here to talk about, the elephant in the room. Dylan Cease has left the Padres to go to the Toronto Blue Jays, and I can only imagine that everybody watching here is ecstatic to have him on the roster because, man, oh man, the pitching staff for next year is stacked to say the least. Oh my goodness, now that we've signed Dylan Cease. I mean, there was so much talk of where is Dylan Cease going to go, and once he signed this contract, I mean, looking at now Trey Savage, Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, just all these guys lined up. I mean, we're going to have a great 2026 as long as there's no injuries. Knock on wood, knock on wood. But Brandon, I want to get your thoughts as usual on here. What are your thoughts now that Dylan Cease is going to be in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was the best free agent pitcher on the market, and again, we sort of talked about this during the Blue Jays postseason run. Obviously, Jose Barrios missed that postseason run, but we talked about how it felt like the Blue Jays, obviously, they came 2 outs from winning the World Series. They weren't necessarily missing a piece, but it felt like they really could have used one more good starting pitcher. Obviously, and again, with Max Scherzer and Chris Bassett likely leaving in free agency, if not retiring, again, that need was only sort of exacerbated. And getting Cease is as good. I mean, really, genuinely, what an excellent signing. And again, there's so much fallout from this. Obviously, the Blue Jays have had their issues in recent years trying to sign these big name free agents. They jumped the ship on this one. They really got out in front of the market. Gave Cease 7 years, 210 million with some deferrals in there. Which again, I mean, it's again, you can question, the idea of giving a guy who's going to turn 30 that much money, especially, as some of his results, petered off a little bit last year. But in terms of the short-term contention window that the Blue Jays are clearly in right now, this was a move you have to make. Again, like you just said, the rotation is completely stacked now. I mean, you have Cease, Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Shane Bieber, and Trey Savage. I mean, that's an incredible starting five. Obviously, again, it'll, some of the depth will have to, come into question depending on what the team, decides to do for the rest of the offseason. But that's turned a position of sort of, I don't want to say mediocrity, but a sort of average position on the roster to a one of true strength. And obviously now it leaves the question of, did the Blue Jays make this move in anticipation of potentially losing Bo Bichette in free agency? Did they do it because they expect to keep him and they're willing to hand out multiple $200 million contracts in the same offseason? Again, there's a lot of questions to be asked right now, but as things stand, in the aftermath of the signing, the Blue Jays are clearly the AL East favorites right now.
Oh yeah, I think that it's great to talk about that the Blue Jays are willing to make money moves right now. I mean, you and I cover a myriad of teams, and there's teams that are very big penny pinchers right now, and there's teams that, want to make money moves. And I think that after seeing the contract that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got, and now this 230 some odd $1 million deal that Cease got, I mean, it's very clear that the Toronto Blue Jays are here to make big moves. Not only that, but I like that you're talking about, look, Dylan Cease is 30 years old. This is a 7 year contract. So clearly they want to keep him around for a long time. And they say, look, even at 30 years old, I mean, you and I talk about age so often with players that he clearly still is in his prime. But even so, they have so much leeway with him with in 7 years, a lot can happen. You can switch him to a different kind, switch him into a different order in the lineup. And there's possibility of, look, we can get rid of him at any point in the sense of trade. But there's this contract, I think, is a great thing for Toronto. They made the right decision. And like you said, he was also the number one kind of spot for a pitcher in free agency. And I think they were aggressive. This was the right choice. But it also does kind of ask the right questions of what's going to happen to Bo Bichette.
Yeah, I think again, obviously Bichette is still the big question for the Blue Jays. I think obviously they naturally want to retain him. Again, right now it seems like the odds favor the Blue Jays keeping him. Maybe, maybe not. Again, the lockout next year could change some things. Again, Bichette, is going to command a very similar type of. It might be the exact same number for all we know, as Cease just got. So, again, it'll be interesting to see. It is worth pointing out that, the Blue Jays do have a lot of money coming off the books after 2026. George Springer's a free agent, Kevin Gausman's a free agent, Shane Bieber's a free agent. Again, and there's some options in there too. I mean, so the Blue Jays are knowingly going sort of all in on 2026. It feels like, well, knowing that, they're not going to be so financially hampered after the lockout that, they won't be able to continue putting competitive teams together. So again, I really like this move, in every single way. I mean, it's just you needed this kind of pitcher. I mean, Dylan Cease strikes out about 30% of guys every single year. Again, even though his ERA was in the mid fours last year, all of his expected stats, his FIP, his expected ERA, were about a run lower. I mean, this is a true ace. This is a guy, this is a number one guy to, add to your staff. And now, even if Gosman is gone after 2026, you have Dylan Cease, and Trey Savage to build around in the rotation for the next half decade plus. That's a really valuable thing for a team.
I think the last thing I want to kind of end on here is no matter where you stand on if you're happy that Dylan Cease is now a Toronto Blue Jay or you're pissed off that we picked up him and rather than another player, the thing to think about here is that at the end of the day, the Padres got screwed over, right? The Padres are going to really grasp at straws on what they need to do next. So this was a great
Mhm.
pickup for us. For now, you really kind of need to think about the future of what Toronto is going to look like. And as the winter meetings come around, there's only more to come, and we're going to be covering all that. But for now, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think now that Dylan Cease is a Toronto Blue Jay? Are you excited to see him in the white and blue in the coming 2026 season? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, we'll be responding to every one of your thoughts.